the Ricochet effect. Ricochet effect, like Ricochet effect.
Yeah. We having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation. Love to the communities, the Ricochet effect. Having conversation with no moderation.
Hi, this is Renee Cobb, and
I'm Dr. Abini El-Amin, and we are with the Ricochet Effect. Hi, I am Dr. Abini El-Amin, and I'm here with you on the Ricochet Effect. Today, I am honored to be in the studio with Joey Truax. Joey Truax, how are you doing today?
Dr. El-Amin, it's a great honor and pleasure. Obviously, the El-Amin family is a near and dear family, of course, in Lexington, and I'm from Lexington, and obviously from the Islamic community from when I was a kid, having embraced the teachings and read the autobiography of Malcolm X at 15 years old, changed my entire life.
Right. And I knew you from way back when at, I want to say it was probably Bryan Station.
Yeah, Bryan Station Junior
High school. So,
yes.
But I know that we've always crossed paths because of my love for hip hop and R&B, and you've certainly been integral in the local community and in the arts, and so that's been spectacular to watch you evolve. So, talk to us about who you are and just that your evolvement in the arts and in music and in community.
I'm just very fortunate, and again, some people know me as Yusef, but my name is Joey Truax, Joseph Truax. I come from a long line of Josephs, Irish, and that name, I have to live up to that name, Joseph. But people in the neighborhood, people that know me, they call me Joey. Those in maybe Islamic circles, they'll say Brother Yusef. But Joey Truax is how pretty much the neighborhood and the city knows me. Listen, I was grateful to grow up on the north side of town in Lexington. I grew up in the Marlboro, Winburn, Hollow Creek neighborhood. At the time, in the early 80s, I was born in 75. In the early 80s, it was what you call, there was a particular time when black professionals were on the rise. They were purchasing homes, and there was somewhat of a what they call white flight in certain neighborhoods on the north end of town. My parents chose to stay. So I was very fortunate to, when I went to the bus stop, when I went to the park, I was very fortunate to have been in a diverse community and on the school bus, at the playground, amongst people of other persuasion, other shades, what you would say African American or black people, black folk.
Yeah.
So with that experience alone, and my sister would come back from the high school dance in Winburn, and she would be playing the old rap mixtapes, and then there was an old radio station called WTLA, and we heard all of those hip-hop jams, and I just fell in love with the culture and the music, the breakdancing, the graffiti. We used to go to the park and at the public libraries and beatboxing and do all of that. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
I had to give you that.
Hey, if you started again, I'll roll right with you. Come on, let's go.
Do the beatbox. Right. So, we came up with all of that and just fell in love with hip hop, and this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop this year. It's just a remarkable time, but coming up in that early 80s hip hop, the Charles Young Center, the New Building, Carver Center, all these things. And a lot of people don't know. Lexington was a very chocolate situation, very black-oriented. It was a strong, soulful, cultural town for many, many years.
Always
there
has
was a
been.
dry spell for a while.
Yeah.
Which I think you and amongst some other people sort of like a renaissance going on.
Yes, we've got our Divine Karamas who are truly adding and illuminating what we've got here in Lexington, but also DeBron Thomas.
Lyric Theater's back popping.
Absolutely, with Christian Adair. So there's a lot of folks here that are really elevating the culture. And then, of course, Lex Arts. We cannot forget these cultural iconic organizations that are really trying to make sure that all culture is at the forefront. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Living Arts and Science Center. So Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big renaissance. But no, I come from that era. I come from that old hip hop cloth, and got into radio at the beginning. We co-hosted, did the first radio station at WRFL 88.1, which was the biggest hip hop show, mind you. This is before the internet. There was no internet.
Yes, I remember that.
No internet, no live stream, no YouTube. Just radio. We had the federal prison right up the street listening every night. We had Blackburn Correctional. We had every neighborhood calling in, the Fresh Test. So those old radio days. And still did the production, still in radio over at RADIOLEX WLXU.
Yes.
And I've been grateful. I've been very fortunate to have your community outreach and what you're doing, Dr. Alameen, and what you're doing at WUKY.
Well, thank you.
With the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as the consultant and spearheading this, it's who would have thought, right? Full circle.
Well, I would say this is that, yes, your contribution to the culture and arts of Lexington has been quite substantial. So talk to us about what you're doing over at RADIOLEX and the projects that you have accomplished over the years, and to also talk about the journey up to now. Thank
you. So after the WRFL stint for years, there was a woman by the name of Deborah Hensley. She's a community activist, but she's a State Farm agent. She was a councilwoman for years, and she wanted to start a radio station that was, for the people, by the people, that gave voices for, those that are underserved or disenfranchised, the LGBTQ community, African American community, other communities that really didn't have a voice on radio.
Right.
She put up her own money.
Mm-hmm.
This woman put up her own money.
Yes.
There was a brother that was from WRFL that helped along with her and started the radio station. I'm basically the first hip hop guy about 8 years ago. So I have been the hip hop, quote unquote director or whatever you want to call it. I'm not really big into titles, but I'm the hip hop guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And been doing it over there for 8 years strong.
Yeah.
And
well, I appreciate you because even when we were younger, you were very much dynamic and resolute in the fact that you loved hip hop, despite being Caucasian.
Yeah.
Being a Caucasian male.
Always, listen, it wasn't, listen.
It hasn't been easy.
If you was a white boy, you better be good.
Yeah, you better be good.
You better be good at what you're doing.
Yes, and I want to take this off from you because you're your own talent and your own individual. You are not the Eminem of Lexington. Forget it. You are Joey Truax.
Yes, I am.
And you have represented that very, very well. But, even with that.
I was before Eminem, that's why.
Yeah.
I was before him, so that's why I'm not the Eminem.
But can you share a memorable or defining moment that shaped your journey in the music profession?
Yeah, I can share which the most memorable part I would say I would have to say when I was 1986 at Carver Center. It was the Battle of the DJs. There was a Micro City Government was an organization that catered to the black community and gave them a blueprint locally, gave young black people an opportunity to have jobs and have studies and have resources and basically a blueprint to have their own government, so to speak. And they held functions throughout the city, Albini. Micro City was big when I was coming up. It was, the block parties, the events.
I remember Micro City very well.
So the most, Ron Berry was the, and he used to always see me at the party. I'd be the only white guy at the party. He'd be like, white boy in the house. So the most memorable moment for me was being at the Battle of the DJs. Yeah. And I was younger than 16. But them inviting me up because they knew Joey scratched. They knew I did the turntable, but I was young.
Right.
I'm talking I was just young. So they let me come up and scratch in front of the whole Carver Center. And I looked out in the crowd, and everybody was just looking at me with their jaws dropped like, oh, my God.
Right.
Who's this
You're
kid?
a prodigy.
Who is this kid up here, like, really doing this?
Yes.
And at that point, I was like, wait a minute. Like, maybe I got something special. Like maybe I for
Okay.
real got something to add on to
And
this
that was
culture.
the spark, right?
That was it. That was it.
And you've been doing it ever since. But what motivates you to continue this work despite the challenges that you've spoken of? What motivates you?
The motivation would be the knowledge and the educational aspect of it. You know, when we was coming up in hip hop, there was a balance. We had, you know, it was booty shaking music, 2 Live Crew. There was,
Not
you know,
Two Live Crew, did you say?
I went into the, you know,
we remember those well. Yes.
But the thing about it was that it wasn't just that. There was a balance. You had the sort of the R&B, the New Jack Swing, the dance part of it, but we also had the element of knowledge,
Right.
which was giving people the knowledge of activism,
Eric B., Rakim,
Public Enemy,
even Will Smith.
even Will Smith was dropping jewels.
Right.
And so there was always that part of hip hop that was that sparked your mind. Like when
Right.
you heard a lyric from Rakim or you
Right.
heard it, like it wasn't just it'd be like, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? Let me go to the diction. Let me
Right,
what is he talking?
right.
What are they
Yes.
talking about?
Yes.
And then you study it and you're like, wow. So it was the motivation was always learning from
Right.
it. We learned we got
Absolutely.
something from hip hop.
It's not just about shaking your head, but
Yeah.
also
But we had that too.
like building
Yes.
the culture, building the intellectualism within oneself.
Yes, learning the knowledge of you know of everything, the science of everything in life, as they say. Yeah, and we got that from hip hop. We did. So the motivation currently is to continue that. Make sure that don't get lost in the sauce somewhere.
Right.
Where it's all about. I mean, you know, listen, we had our NWAs, we had our
Yes.
share of gun records and
Yes.
and drug dealing, and all of that's a part of it too, because it's
Right.
we're telling the story.
We're
of,
telling the story. It is a narrative
Right.
of the African American experience here in the United States, and we can't devoid ourselves or divorce ourselves from those experiences. And people should have a voice, and through rap and hip hop, this is how they've used that voice.
Right. That's exactly right. But but can we get a lesson? Where's the lesson in it? So I guess the motivation would be still wanting to give knowledge and get a lesson from it all.
Well, can you explain your current projects or initiatives related to the music industry or other things that you're doing in the community?
Yeah. So, you know, over at WLXU at RADIOLEX, we got so much talent in Lexington. We've
Yes, we do.
always had talent. And what a lot of people don't know is that we have major producers, like a friend of mine, Aurelius, who we know as Marcus Vest. We grew up in Winburn. He's the multi-platinum producer for all of Ja Rule, Murder Inc. records, Jennifer Lopez. He grew up in Lexington.
That's amazing.
Right. He's huge. That's my guy. Grew up with him.
Would you consider him a mentor?
He was my mentor. We traveled together. I was underneath his tutelage for a while. We went to Houston, Texas. I helped him produce a lot of records. There are many records that you hear today that are big hit records that when I hear it, I know that I had some influence in it because I was there.
Wow. Yes.
I was there.
I know what you're saying.
So the current what we're finding is that it's like a lot of the young people, they need to have an experience and access. So if a young artist is coming in, we bring them to the radio station, and you should see these young kids light up. They're like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm really I'm really on the TV, or like the Breakfast Club. I had one young fella tell me, I feel like I'm on the Breakfast Club. So, and it gives them that spark.
Yes.
It gives them that look of, like, wait a minute, I'm in a professional setting, like this is the real thing. So I think offering that to the community, what I do is really, that's basically what I've been doing. I do a lot of consulting work on the side with artists, teaching the music industry, the do's and the do-nots, paperwork, making sure that they have their royalties, their publishing.
The administration part is part of what we talk about in terms of financial literacy and financial empowerment. And given that conversation and that line talking about success,
right? What
is a success story, or what has been something that you would deem as a successful aspect in your career?
Well, I have to say it felt good to get the Best Radio DJ Award back right before
would do it for me.
right before the pandemic. The pandemic. I'm sorry. Back in 2019. So we did the radio. I had to put my little stuff out there. So right before the pandemic, right then and there, I was the first one to bring Eric B. and Rakim, and I was the first hip hop guy to have an interview on Rakim's first visit to Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
So the biggest part of, first of all, we mentioned Rakim. You and I've been saying that name. He meant a lot to us.
Yes, he did.
Coming up.
Yes, he did.
His knowledge, his flow. He changed the rap game.
How so?
Well, back in the days, everybody was flowing. The old hip hop style was, hip hop, you don't stop, but to the bang boogie, the up jump the boogie, the boogie the beat. That was the old way. Right, and don't get me wrong, we love that too. But Rakim came with the, lyrics of fury. I'm in the style of my own, the tone, the top of the tone. Like it was a whole different style. He changed the landscape of the MC, the lyricist.
Okay.
And he gave us the knowledge.
Right.
So we fell in love with Rakim, and I was very fortunate to have got the first interview, my first interview with Rakim. And he don't do a lot of interviews, by the way. And his first visit to Lexington, Kentucky, and his performance. So to get that interview, to spend that quality time with him, and in that same year, getting the award for the best radio DJ. At that point, I could have just walked away from it. And
Right.
said, you know what?
That was the pinnacle, right?
I did everything I needed to do. And let me just move on to something else. But I'm still here.
Yeah.
With you right now,
That's
too.
all right. You're hanging in here. So what advice would you give to someone who is aspiring in the music industry or in the radio industry?
Be true to yourself and get good at what you're doing. Study your craft and get good at it. Don't settle for mediocrity. Push yourself. Try new things. Push yourself. Find your edge. Find your lane, and push yourself, and just fine tune your craft and be the best at it. Learn to be the best. Hip hop is, it's a very competitive culture. We're the best. I'm the best. You can't beat me. I'm better than you, but keep that edge, but in a good way, not in a negative thing. Like, back in the days, the whole concept of the hip hop thing was you didn't want to fight and pull the gun and pull the knife. Let's just break dance.
Yeah, let's break dance.
Let's dance it out.
Like
let's rap it out. I'll battle you.
That's
so
right.
keeping that competitive edge
Right.
and being, I'm not going to say be narcissist, although many of us are narcissists, but being borderline narcissist to where you're talented, your worth, and just push yourself to be the best you can be, and it'll fall.
Yeah, you don't have to get negatively emotional about it because you know who you are and what you bring to the table. You know your value.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
So just push yourself to be the best you can be.
yes, always. So with the work that you're doing with the WUKY DEIB CAB, which stands for WUKY Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, Community Advisory Board. We are so happy here to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Connected with us and engaged. And so what has been the impact of the work that we are collectively doing on the work that you are doing in the industry?
It really is deeply personal for me. And I'll just go ahead and put this out there to you on your show, or with you on this show and segment. My oldest daughter was what was called bisexual, but she came out as being, quote unquote, gay.
Okay.
And it was something that the family, that we all, her mother and everybody, it was a little bit, it took some people by surprise. And this is years ago. And for this to fall in my lap, like the way the planets lined up, it made me revisit that time and accepting my daughter's sexuality.
Yes.
And having experienced that, and then seeing the Black Lives Matter movement, not the movement in a business organization sense, but a movement in Black Lives Do Matter, meaning they should matter as much as any other life.
Right.
I'm not talking about organizational and individuals.
Right.
That's just, we're talking about what it means.
What it means.
In
just
essence. What it means in essence.
respecting the individual
Correct.
for who they are and what they believe in.
So it's just come full circle for me in having experienced that, accepting and understanding my daughter's sexuality, my oldest daughter's sexuality. And even more so, it's such a, what the initiative that WUKY and yourself as consultant spearheading this to a large degree, it speaks to Islamophobia. It speaks to anti-Semitism. It speaks to so many areas that it's just, and being a young, having embraced Islam when I was young, listen, there's so much racism in everything. It's just there. So if we can add on to the environment of acceptance and tolerance, patience, tolerance meaning that, if it's something you're not used to, I'm not used to, I've never really been around people that are those that had a sexual change, like they've had their bodies adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
These are new. These are very, very, at least for a lot of people.
Not just
new.
Depending on your age demographic, but
Right.
even your cultural demographic or your religious demographic. You're absolutely right. So I love that you bring up this concept of tolerance, because tolerance is not a bad thing.
It's not a
and
bad
I absolutely love how you communicated it. It's about understanding other people for who they are, and like I said, where you are and what you believe in.
And as an individual, right, respecting people as an individual, but learning how to work with people, because at the end of the day, what? We all bleed the same blood. We're all human beings. Can we all agree that we want clean schools? We want clean, affordable housing. If we look at the things that we all want, if we look at the things that we all need, that you see the humanity in it all. So all the other stuff sort of becomes sort of like this. It's trivial.
Well, personally for me, I'm like, if you're not affecting my paycheck and what's going on in my household, and with me individually, then I don't mind.
Right.
And I don't judge
No
what
one.
someone else decides to do for their life. You need to
Right.
live your best life, just like I'm living my best life.
Right. Right.
But it does become a problem, even for me, in reflection, when I see other entities or individuals when they disempower me or seek to disempower my community, whichever community that is, whether that's
Right.
gender or race or spirituality or faith or what have you. So it makes a difference, just in terms of, it's really difficult for one to respect another culture or another perspective when other people don't respect them. I actually got that from the young people.
Mm-hmm.
That way say, if you want respect, give respect, right?
Young people demanding respect. You know what? If we really listen to them, listen to them. So the learning experience is not only great, and that there's people on the board that are that have the different pronouns, he, her, him, these different things. I'm learning as I go. My oldest daughter is telling me, like, Daddy, this is, you go to New York, you go to Chicago, you go to LA, you go to different places. This is where we're at, Daddy, in 2023.
Yeah, this is where we are as
It's where we're at.
society.
And the right thing to do is do what WUKY and do what we're doing, is have a diverse, inclusive situation where we learn from each other, discuss we talk about it. We're having the conversation, and we're implementing positive, the outcomes, like what we're measuring, what we're doing. I could go on about the board itself and what we're doing, but the DEIB, the concept and what we're doing is, I'm learning, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Well, even in this conversation, it's interesting because we know we're on the radio and we need to be sensitive to our listeners. We need to be sensitive to one another. And these are difficult conversations.
Yes, they are.
But these are the kinds of conversations that you have to have in society to move it forward. We cannot simply not have the conversations and impact people politically or economically or even socially, culturally, to the detriment of humanity.
Absolutely.
So this has been really good stuff. So are you going to bless us with one of your? Are you going to bless us with your art?
What are you going to do? Spit a verse?
Yeah, spit a verse.
Oh, Lord.
Come on, go into the archives, dust it off.
Some of my stuff's a little racy, for lack of a better word.
Well, give us some of the stuff that's not so racy.
It's not racy? Okay. I'll piece something up like Jay-Z. Yo, I've been around here doing my thing. You've been around not doing a thing, running around ruining things. Shooting dope ruins your veins. You better off putting two in your brain. If the first one don't do anything, save yourself. Matter of fact, you need to heal yourself. Resurrect from a mental death. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Hey, 2 snaps up.
All right.
Well, this has certainly been amazing, and we cannot say it enough here at WUKY. We really, truly appreciate your participation on the cab. You're always bringing great ideas that we are going to implement. So for the community, stay tuned because WUKY, we've got some great things coming about in terms of our programming as well as our events and activities. So
thank you, Dr. Alameen. I'm trying to. It's hard for me to say Dr. Alameen because I know you as Abini, and I've known you that for many, many years. But I will get used to saying Dr.
I was a doctor when I was born.
Okay.
That's all right. That's elevating, evolving, and we're definitely on the move here at the Ricochet Effect.
The Ricochet Effect.
Well, we've come to the close of another amazing podcast. I'd like to thank our listeners. I'd like to thank our guest. And as we say here at WUKY, we can't do it without our community. And just keep in mind that DEIB is the DNA of humanity. The vision of Project Ricochet is to find practical solutions that assist minority youth who are prone to antisocial behaviors while discovering positive and productive lifestyle alternatives. An overarching goal of Project Ricochet is to work and communicate in genuine ways with existing organizations and groups which have a similar focus as we do. Our programming is distinctive because it provides development opportunities for community and economic empowerment.
It's the Ricochet Effect. Ricochet Effect. It's the Ricochet Effect. Ricochet Effect.